Master Your Destiny on 99 FM.
Welcome to the MYD studios, Fourie. We are delighted to have you in studio.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here. Welcome to the listeners.
And we're talking the path to peace. But before we get on to peace, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, I'm almost 50. Can't believe it. And a dad of three. I have a wonderful wife. I've been in Namibia for more than 25 years, and in a congregation for almost 20 years. And I never thought that I would say that, because I always said that after 10 years you lose your zip, and you know, and you are just buying our time. But my life has been an amazing life of what God has done through me. So it's always exciting, and there's a lot of excitement where I am. Normally, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a visionary, so I try a lot of things.
Absolutely, and you're very well known for that, for the incredible initiatives that you've started in Namibia. But tell me, was it always the plan for you to go into the congregation and to be a pastor?
Never. I hated church as a kid. I couldn't stand it. I despised it. It was meaningless. Everybody was asleep afterwards. Everybody was complaining how boring it was. But I mean, they just went Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, and it was just the most terrible hour in my life. So I never ever thought that I would ever become that. I wanted to become a medical doctor, and I was also accepted to go and study that. And then in my matric year, I made a lot of nonsense, as my life was at that stage. I was a very rebellious child, and the reason for that, I think, and that's where I want to do the take of the inner peace, is that as a young baby, my grandparents took me in because my mother and father were staying in a school hostel. They were both teachers. So I had a lot of unrest in me, and then it can lead, that unpeace can lead to a lot of destruction. And that's what, when you don't have peace, there's no love, because you can't have peace without love. And if there's no love, then there's just hate, and that hate gets driven by fear. The fear of being rejected, the fear of not being accepted, the fear of not being of not making it, and then you try various ways to be accepted, to be loved, to be nurtured, and we see it all around us today. And that's why people would not live lives that are directed, that are scattered, and they are on the road and off the road, because they have this battle of acceptance. And so I had that, and you do try to prove yourself. So I was very successful as a young kid, especially sport-wise, and later on with the ladies. I mean, that's the way that you get that inner I'm okay, you know, if you can have that attention, and if you are in multiple relationships. And that's what brought me in trouble, and I was in huge trouble. So my whole life would have changed for the bad. And for the first time in my life, I just prayed to God and said, is there somebody there, or whoever, or what's your name, what, I don't know, but I'm in shit, help me. And that morning, things just changed dramatically. All the cases that was going on where I was involved in was just dropped. It was left. It was just like peace.
Wow.
Like later on, I discovered Jesus was the guys was on a storm, and Jesus came on the waves, and he just calmed everything. And my life was like that.
Now, in the time that you've been working in the Dutch Reformed Church, you said it's over 20 years, you've been involved in some incredible projects. You also mentioned before you're a visionary, and you certainly are by some of the projects and initiatives that you've started. Tell us about some of them, Men at the Side of the Road and etc.
Men at the Side of the Road was the first one. again, being different, didn't go to Stellenbosch or Pretoria for my doctorate degree. I went to a futuristic theologian called Leonard Sweet, and I mean, that guy he's ballistic. I mean, he's insanely clever, and he's the one that taught me, you know, people saying you're out of the box. He said, where's the box? Why do we have to have boxes? And he's a no box guy. But it started with me being attentive to who they are. And then I was attentive in listening to all these rich ladies moaning and complaining about their domestic workers, you know, that they mess up the iron and then they break the steam pot or the cooking pot and this and that. And we started with women at work. So we tried to teach, and it's just here around your corner from you, it's 100 meters from here. Where they are being taught how to iron and to cook and to do cleaning and
Skills transfer.
Skills, yeah. So those were the two first things that I started, and then out of that a whole lot of other things also started, of me just being attentive and trying to address the needs, because it's all towards peace. Because if people are not really cared for and loved and feel inner peace with acceptance and life is good, they are angry, and that anger leads to racism,
Yes.
and that anger leads to classism, sexism. That anger gets like water. It flows in every corner of our society. Therefore there's crime, because crime is driven by anger towards the haves and the I don't have. So I think the topic of inner peace is what has kept me in the church, because that's what I found in God, but that's what I try to bring about on Sundays, that people will just make peace with themselves and with their mistakes. We all mess up. To make peace with that, to get forgiveness, and that God's peace can come in your life. He hasn't given up on you. He can still use you, even though that you are the biggest failure and you've done the most terrible, worst things in your whole life towards other people, towards yourself. It's never over. You can always start somewhere fresh, but it's believing. I'm free, believing I'm forgiven, believing it's okay. Maybe later on I would understand why I went through this, because it gives me some kind of learning and an experience, but that you can maybe use someday. I mean, if God can use a guy like me, I mean, for Pete's sake, I was the worst of them, to use me in a place as a conservative church.
It's an incredible story, actually.
It's
it really is
laughable.
But it's beautiful. And it's a beautiful story that shows us all that it doesn't matter the circumstances you find yourself in, it's about what you do in that circumstance. And as you said, you need to believe in yourself so that you can deliver what you need to into each space. If anybody's listening out right now and they're dealing with a lot of anger, like the anger you just spoke about, what would your message be to them?
If you are there as a listener, you need to see the red lights going on. You need to withdraw from society if you are so angry that you don't harm and do damage towards people. I would say get out a white piece of paper and just write down what you are angry about. A second column, what has been done to you, who did it, and just get it out. If we have poison in our body, we are sick and we can't function. So we take medicine to actually get rid of the poison and the bug, whatever, you know. And through that exercise, it needs to come out. Then I would voice it. It's good to deal with it yourself. And you can also put yourself in there. I'm angry for myself for making this stupid decision, or allowing this, or saying that, or, you know, didn't do whatever. But just even God. I mean, angry at God. Furious at God. I mean, it's good. I mean, God can take it. I mean, He can take it, really. Listener, He can take it. So I think starting off with a paper and then voicing it to somebody. It doesn't have to be a therapist or psychologist. I mean, really, you can have a intellectual girl like you, Kirsty. If somebody your friend, say for instance your friend is angry, you can see it because she's drinking too much, passing out, sleeping around, that's anger driven, and it leads to shame, and then it's a cycle that you can't get out. That if, say for instance it's your friend now and she listens to it and she writes it down and you are friends, then she can tell you, because I need to speak to you, I need to tell you my anger story or my shame story, and by just letting it out, one's get a lot of inner peace. And then the next step would be to give forgiveness, because we don't want to give forgiveness because it keeps us in control and we're hurting when we don't forgive, but in fact we are just doing it to ourselves.
Master Your Destiny on 99 FM.